Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into some really fascinating material. We're exploring the teachings and, the life stories around a revered spiritual master, Luang Pu Wat Pak Nam.
That's right.
And our mission here is really to pull out some powerful insights about things like faith, karma, and how lives can be interconnected in surprising ways. We're working from sources shared directly with us. So as we start looking at these stories, what's the first thing that, really grabs you?
Well, what's fascinating is how these personal stories, they really give us a window into a very specific spiritual world. You see this deep faith, but also these quite remarkable spiritual interventions happening.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at how events that seem, maybe ordinary on the surface are actually tied to these profound karmic ideas and, frankly, spiritual power. It often challenges how we normally think about things.
That's a great way to put it, because we kick off with this incredible personal story from someone who visited Wat Pak Nam as a child with their aunt. And Luang Pu himself actually gave them an amulet, a Phra Khong Kwan, one of the first generation ones. And the really striking part is what Luang Pu said directly to the child. He said, "I have embedded the Buddha for you."
Wow, embedded.
Exactly. You can just imagine a kid thinking, what on earth does embedding mean in this context? Total confusion.
Yeah, absolutely. And that phrase, "I have embedded the Buddha for you," that's really key because it points to something unique Luang Pu was doing, spiritually speaking.
Right.
So the narrator, the child, they knew it was sacred, but they hit a very practical snag. These early amulets, they were made from jasmine flowers.
Oh, delicate then.
Very delicate. They could easily crumble or, even dissolve if they got wet.
Okay, so you have the sacred gift, but it's fragile. What did the child do? Because their solution was, a bit unusual.
It really was. Their idea was to scrape off a tiny bit of the amulet and eat it.
Be it. Seriously.
Yep. The logic, kind of amazing in a way, was that if they ingested it, then the Buddha would always be inside them, permanently, no matter what happened to the physical amulet itself.
That's quite something. Did it work in their mind?
Well, the physical amulet did eventually dissolve, just like they worried it would. But the narrator, even now, secretly believes that their current beauty and grace comes from having ingested that piece. It's this deeply held personal conviction.
Incredible. So let's talk about the embedding itself. What was actually going on there according to the sources?
Right. So this method Luang Pu used, called Fian or embedding, it wasn't your standard blessing. Not at all. He used a deep form of meditation, the Dhammakaya meditation.
Okay.
And through this, he would essentially stack or layer countless Buddhas from nirvana right into the material of the amulet.
Countless Buddhas layered in.
That's the description. And the goal was profound, to turn what they called dead elements into living elements. This created a kind of medium, a link, connecting the owner's heart directly to the Dhammakaya. And it's this connection that was believed to enable the fulfillment of wishes. It's very different from, say, just chanting over an amulet or using magical formulas.
Wow, that sounds like a serious spiritual technology almost, not just a simple blessing. So, okay, what happens then if someone like the narrator loses the physical amulet? Is that connection just gone?
No, apparently not entirely. If the Phra Khong Kwan is lost or it dissolves, the Dhammakaya energy, that embedded essence, it still remains within the owner's subtle body, like at their spiritual center. But, and this is important, only if their faith remains strong. However, the physical amulet, the gross element as it's called, that's a really powerful conduit. So if it's gone, the full potency of that connection is reduced. That's why keeping the physical amulet safe was stressed.
Okay, I see. So the connection persists through faith, but the physical object really amplifies it. That makes sense. It's a fascinating idea about how spiritual energy works. Now, speaking of amplified impact, there's another story here that really makes you rethink value. It involves a tiny donation, just 25 baht.
Right. Tiny even back then.
Exactly. Given during Luang Pu's time to help build a monastic school, the Perioditham at Wat Pak Nam. And this incredibly small amount supposedly led to, get this, 1,000 million in future wealth for the donor. How is that even explained?
Yeah, it sounds astronomical, doesn't it? But it's presented as a powerful example of karmic amplification. The reason such a small sum yielded such huge returns, according to the source, is because the donation was made into what's called a field of merit that included countless Dhammakayas.
A field of merit.
Think of it like investing the most spiritually potent ground possible. The sources compare it to offering just a simple meal to the Buddha himself. The merit from that alone could lead to rebirths as kings or emperors for many, many lives. And here, the donation was specifically for a school to study the Buddha's teachings. Helping preserve the Dharma like that generates immense blessings. That 1,000 million figure, it's probably symbolic, meant to convey a benefit almost beyond calculation.
So what does this mean for you listening? It really flips our everyday ideas about value and return on their head. It suggests the context of a good deed, the how and the where, can multiply its impact massively.
Precisely.
And this idea of a powerful personal connection ties right into another thing Luang Pu said about these amulets. My amulets all have owners. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, that's another key point. It means that Luang Pu, using his Dhammakaya insight, could actually calculate and then embed the subtle body, the spiritual essence of the specific person who had made merit with him past or present right into their particular amulet.
So each amulet was personalized, spiritually.
Yep, exactly. A direct individual connection. And apparently this method was quite strict. It wasn't like the broader personal Dhammakaya concept you hear about at Mahadhammakaya Satya today. Back then, with Luang Pu, people generally had to be there in person to receive their specific amulet. Even kids had to show up.
Fascinating. Okay, moving beyond the amulets themselves, the sources also give us these incredible stories from people close to Luang Pu, highlighting karma and compassion. There's one about an attendant.
Ah, yes, the attendant who lost their amulet.
Right. They lost their own amulet, and in a moment of panic, they actually tried to swap it secretly with one of Luang Pu's own amulets that was just sitting there.
It's a very human reaction, isn't it? That panic and wanting to fix it immediately, even maybe dishonestly. But the key thing is, the attendant couldn't go through with it.
They changed their mind.
Yes, they put Luang Pu's amulet back. They were too afraid of him finding out, through his spiritual insight, and also afraid of the bad karma.
So what was the karmic fallout from that near swap?
Well, because they returned it, the negative karma was apparently much less severe. The source suggests maybe a minor setback later, like temporarily losing some of their own things, but nothing drastic. The intention was there briefly, but the action was corrected.
It's interesting the karma was minor because they stopped themselves. But the story for this attendant doesn't quite end there. Apparently now, today, they dislike the temple, even though they have good past karma associated with it. What's going on there?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point in this source. It says this current dislike, despite the good past karma, is described as spoilage. Like the good karma is there, but it's being tainted or obscured by listening to negative influences from outside the temple.
Spoilage. Huh. So outside influences can actually damage your connection to past good deeds.
That's the implication. But the good news, according to the source, is that this spoilage can be reversed. Simply by making a conscious choice to say, love the temple again, the source emphasizes that changing your mind, your intention, can happen instantly, unlike fixing something physical.
That's powerful. The idea that a mental shift can cleanse that spoilage. Okay, another really striking story involves the narrator's aunt. She had this bizarre condition. Seasonal madness. Only in winter.
Yes, this one is quite dramatic.
She'd get agitated, apparently hold a small knife, and really eerily, she would actually ask to be chained up.
Can you imagine asking to be restrained like that?
Incomprehensible. How did Luang Pu explain this? It sounds like something medical or psychological.
Well, Luang Pu's diagnosis was very specific. He said, this disease is a karmic disease, not a blood disease or a ghost disease. He told them not to bother with outside doctors, that it would just stop when the underlying karma ran out.
A karmic disease, and what treatment did she get?
Only what they called Phra medicine, which likely refers to spiritual methods or blessed items from the temple. And incredibly, after about 4 or 5 years of this happening every winter, it just stopped.
Just stopped.
Completely.
Yeah.
The madness never came back, even in later winters. A miraculous recovery by any standard.
Absolutely. So what was the karma? What caused this specific, strange winter madness and the request to be chained?
The source traces it back to a past life. In that life, she was a nun, And during cold winters, she started drinking alcohol, mistakenly thinking it was just medicine to stay warm.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and she apparently often got drunk, so that was one karmic debt. Then, combined with another past karma of apparently chaining animals, those two things combined resulted in her experiencing this condition and feeling the compulsion to be chained herself in this life. It's a very direct kind of karmic reflection.
Wow. That's incredibly specific. What happened to her after she passed away?
Initially, because of her past life merit as a nun in good deeds, she was reborn as a low-level yaksha deity in the Katumaharichika realm, one of the lower heavens. But then, through Luang Pu's spiritual power and intervention, he was able to elevate her.
Elevate her.
To Dusit heaven, into the special merit circle associated with future Buddhas and great practitioners. Though the source notes she was kind of at the back of the line there because her placement was due to his intervention rather than solely her own merit reaching that level initially.
Still, an incredible elevation. It really makes you ponder the invisible threads connecting our actions across lifetimes.
Let's shift now to Luang Pu's own family. His mother sounds like quite a character.
Yes, she's described as very strong-willed, charitable, determined, really loved the temple, always preparing lotus flowers for worship.
And she didn't initially want to move to Wapak Nam to live, right? What changed her mind?
No, she was reluctant at first. The turning point came when she mortgaged some land and was then cheated out of it. She lost the land.
That's terrible. But then the source mentioned something puzzling. When she told Luang Pu about being cheated, he laughed. That seems odd.
It does seem odd on the surface, but the explanation is crucial. He wasn't laughing at her misfortune, not at all.
He was happy because he knew that losing the land meant she would finally agree to come live at the temple. That was the key. He saw it as the event that would bring her close, allow him to care for her, and importantly, allow her to make much more merit by being at the center of spiritual activity.
Ah, I see. So it was relief and happiness that a barrier was removed, allowing her to deepen her spiritual life.
Exactly. He saw the bigger karmic picture, and once she was at the temple, she was apparently very industrious, even planting rice in the temple's canals.
Planting rice in canals. Interesting. Was there a karmic reason she was cheated out of her land in the first place?
Yes. The source links it to a past life where she herself was a wealthy moneylender who had foreclosed on land belonging to people who owed her money.
Wow, karma really mirrors things sometimes. What about her passing? Was there anything unusual there?
Very unusual. When she passed away, Luang Pu kept her body for a time. He performed a highly advanced meditation technique called Dhamma over her. His aim was incredibly ambitious, to overcome Mara, these are obstructing forces or beings in Buddhism, and actually try to revive her.
Revive her, like bring her back to life.
That was the stated goal. It shows the level he was operating on. Ultimately, he wasn't successful in that specific attempt, and he eventually proceeded with her cremation. But the attempt itself is remarkable.
Absolutely profound. What about his father? We know he died young when Luang Pu was just 13.
That's right, before Luang Pu ordained. His father was a hardworking rice merchant. His short life, according to the source, stemmed from a past life action.
What action was that?
In that past life, while working as a merchant, he apparently killed a thief who was trying to rob him, essentially defending his property.
Okay, self-defense, maybe.
Legally, perhaps. But the source makes a key distinction here between human law and the law of karma. Under karma, the act of taking a life, regardless of the reason, still carries consequences in this case, contributing to a shorter lifespan.
That's a subtle but important point. But surely, being the father of someone like Luang Pu must have generated immense good karma, too.
Oh, absolutely immense. The merit of being the physical father to someone destined to become such a great spiritual master is described as bestowing human, heavenly, and nirvana wealth. It essentially opens the door to heaven and closes the door to hell for the father, guaranteeing a good future existence because of his role in bringing Luang Pu into the world.
That's quite a spiritual inheritance.
Yeah.
Were his parents connected to him before this life? Was there a past life link?
Yes, a very strong one. The story goes that in a previous life, when Luang Pu himself was a young monk, he was looked after by an elderly couple. This couple had no sons of their own, and they made a strong wish, a vow almost, to be reborn as his parents in a future life.
And that wish came true.
It did. When their accumulated merit ripened, their wish was fulfilled in this lifetime. It's a beautiful example of intentions setting future realities. And after they passed away in this life, both his mother and father are said to be in Dusit heaven now, in that special merit circle.
Incredible. These connections across time. Okay, one more family member. Pa Da, his eldest sister. She played a big role after their parents died, right?
Yes, she was the eldest and looked after Luang Pu. She was initially quite wealthy, apparently owning 3 large ferry boats, which was significant back then.
3 ferries. But then she lost her wealth.
She did. Business failed, and she fell into poverty. And this put Luang Pu in a difficult position as a monk.
How so?
Well, he couldn't just give her money from temple donations. That's against monastic rules. But he wanted to help her repay her kindness for raising him. So he came up with a unique solution.
What'd he do?
With the sanghas, the monastic community's approval, he allowed his own framed images to be sold. The money from selling pictures of him went directly to support his sister, Pa Da.
So he used his own image, essentially, as a way to generate income for her, with permission.
Exactly. It was an approved way for him to help her without misusing temple funds. And apparently, selling these images helped her regain her prosperity.
That's resourceful.
Yeah.
Was there a karmic reason for her wealth fluctuating so dramatically, from owning ferries to poverty and back?
Yes, another past life connection. In a life where Luang Pu was a king, she was his sister. Initially, she was very happy about the king's generosity, how much he donated. She rejoiced in his merit-making.
Okay, that sounds good.
It was. And that initial joy created the karmic connection for them to be siblings again. However, later on, as she saw the royal treasury getting low because of his constant donations, she started to regret it. She even discouraged him from giving so much.
She got worried and tried to stop his good deeds.
Precisely. And that act of regretting his charity, discouraging merit-making, that was the karmic cause of her falling into poverty in this life. It's presented as a stark lesson. Feeling sad or regretful about others' generosity, especially towards spiritual causes, can actually lead to one's own poverty.
Wow. Sadness over others' wealth can lead to poverty.
That's a powerful thought. What happened to Pa Da after she passed?
Like her parents, she also ended up in Dusit heaven in the special merit circle thanks to her connection with Luang Pu and her own merit.
So, wrapping this all up, we've gone through these incredible stories, the amulets, the karma, the family connections. What's the big takeaway from this deep dive into Luang Pu's world?
Well, we've seen these amazing accounts of spiritual power, haven't we? And the really intricate, sometimes surprising ways karma seems to work, and these profound connections that just stretch across lifetimes.
Yeah, they definitely aren't just old stories. They feel like they offer real insights into how our actions, even our thoughts and intentions, have consequences. And the sheer power of faith comes through so strongly. Absolutely. If you connect it to a bigger picture, it really highlights how every little interaction, every thought, every action, especially when it relates to spiritual practice or spiritual figures, it's all weaving this incredibly complex web.
A web of outcomes.
Exactly. It underscores that our intentions and our actions, even things that seem small, like that 25 baht donation or a fleeting thought of regret, can have these huge, unexpected ripple effects across our existence. Not just now, but in the future, too.
It leaves you with a lot to think about. Consider this. If just one momentary choice or one small act of faith or even a moment of regret can echo through lifetimes like this, what hidden karmic threads are you weaving right now in your own daily life? What kind of tapestry are you actually creating for your own future?